This is going to be a quick tip tutorial on how to connect multiple slicers on a single Excel dashboard. This is quite a common thing to do actually, but it's a little bit tricky if you don't know the trick. Once you got it down, it's pretty simple. There are a number of ways you can do this depending on which version of Excel you've got. Power Pivot is a nice way to do it. It's done automatically, but assuming you're just going to do this kind of manually from the front end, which is probably about what 99% of the people do, I'm going to do it that way. So here's some data I had, about BC doctors. So I flipped it into a dashboard. So now I've got some information, statistics about the various medical practitioners in the province and their age and expenditures and so on. But I wanted to add some additional dashboards over here maybe. Well, normally we could do that simply by going over to the data, inserting another pivot table, and building a new chart, which I'll do. I'll kind of just skip ahead a bit. So I set up a new pivot table based on median age and average patient count, and I'll just throw in I'll insert I don't know, chart of some kind. Of course, as always, I'll just hide all the buttons on the chart. I don't need them. Obviously, I can get rid of that too. Now, one of the things is I want to move this chart over to my dashboard. So of course you can move a chart from one place to another by hitting the move chart function. In this case, I'm going to move it over to my dashboard. So it's now sitting over here. I'm not going to try to make it pretty or anything. But as you can see, nothing's happening when you press on the slicers. So, I mean, technically you could add a new set of slicers just for this one, but they'd be separate from that one, which would be silly. The reason this chart is not connected to the other slicers is that you haven't established the connection. Of course, Excel doesn't know that you've created a new pivot table separately and just dumped it over here. However, if you click on the slicers, you'll see this thing to check on what it is. You'll notice now there is another option here saying, okay, I want to connect that one to this one. So now both of them are connected. And if all's working, they should work. Bingo. Of course, you'll have to do the same for the other ones. A bit clunky. There's faster ways to do if you do this up front through Power Pivot, but sometimes we just want to add things later or modify the slicers and connect them. So it's not that hard. You just have to make sure you bring in all the connections so that now they'll all work. And from there on, you can continue to make your cosmetic changes, put on some titles, name the axes, etc. There's still a few loose ends on my chart, as you can see. Certainly not a publishable product. But now you'll find out that it'll work, or it won't, because they're not connected. Made a mistake on my own chart, forgot to connect them up. So I'll just do that very quickly. As you can see, if the things aren't working properly, that's the first place I check on the slicers, is to make sure they actually are all linked. That's often a source of trouble. And once you've got them linked up, then they'll be fine. So you can do that for as many charts as you want. Every time you bring a new one onto the page, it will acknowledge that it's there, but the slicers will not be connected to it. But easy to fix, as you can see. So that's all you need to do to make them work.